What do y'all think of this chart that's been going viral? Apparently, Gen Z thinks you need a much higher salary to be considered financially successful than other generations do. I'm curious whether this has something to do with Gen Z specifically, or it's how people feel in general when they're younger. Actually, it'd be pretty interesting to see how millennials would have answered this question when they were younger. Maybe they would have given similar numbers as Gen Zers. Because you gotta think, as people get older, their perspective on financial success changes. Maybe when you're younger, you're more ambitious and idealistic, and when you're older, you become more of a realist. Or maybe I'm off base with that, and Gen Z just has a completely different mindset than the rest of us. Anyway, here's another story that caught my eye recently. I think it's pretty obvious to a lot of people that highly processed foods aren't good for you. But are these foods bad because they aren't nutritious? They have a lot of fat, salt, sugar, and things like that? Or are they bad because they're highly processed with a lot of weird ingredients like emulsifiers, artificial flavors, preservatives, and other things that you don't usually find in home-cooked meals? This article dives into that question, and what you learn is that it's not just about the sugar and salt content of the foods. The processing itself makes the foods unhealthier. Here's a fascinating chart from the article. As you can see, in America and Britain, highly processed foods make up half or more than half of people's calorie consumption, while in places like Italy, highly processed foods are much less prevalent. This could explain some of the differences in the health outcomes between these various countries. Again, maybe that's obvious to a lot of you watching, but it's always nice to see studies that test the assumptions that we have. Okay, so the third story that caught my eye is pretty unique. You just don't see this type of thing every day. So sometime very soon, the British Indian Ocean Territory is going to disappear. Not for any nefarious reasons, but because the United Kingdom is going to hand over sovereignty of the Chagos Islands to Mauritius. There's a whole backstory to why this is happening, but that's not the point. The point is, once the transfer happens, that area is no longer going to be referred to as the British Indian Ocean Territory. Here's why that matters. The territory currently controls the .io domain name. IO is short for Indian Ocean, but it's also short for input-output, which refers to the flow of data in and out of systems, like computer systems. Because of that, the .io domain has been very popular among tech companies, gaming companies, and the like. So a lot of people who own these websites are worried that this domain is going to go away because the British Indian Ocean Territory won't exist pretty soon. I mean, I guess it's not that big of a deal. You could just change your domain name to something else. But it's definitely a weird situation. This article goes into more detail if you're interested. It talks about how there's been a lot of controversy with domain names in the past, especially in the period after Yugoslavia broke up into many smaller countries. After the breakup, a lot of these countries were fighting over the .yu domain. And there was even a heist at one point where Slovenia stole the domain from Serbia. So we'll see what happens in this case. There is the possibility that the organization that assigns top-level domains will make an exception for .io and let it continue existing even after the British Indian Ocean Territory is no longer a thing. But no one actually knows at this point what they'll end up doing. Alright, so that brings us to the final story I want to talk about today. You know, I'm recording this in early December, and a few weeks from now, I know a lot of you are going to be traveling for the holidays. Now, every time you go to the airport, you see the regular security line, you see the TSA pre-check line, and you sometimes see this third line for something called Clear. Personally, I've noticed Clear, but I've never really thought about it. This article goes into the origins of Clear and explains why it might actually be dying. Clear, if you're not familiar with it, is basically a subscription service that lets you get through airport security faster. They scan your fingerprints or your eyes and help you jump to the front of the security line so you and your bags can get scanned more quickly. The reason that Clear is able to do this is because they've made financial arrangements with airports and local governments. Clear, the company, gives a portion of the money that it collects from subscriptions to airports. Every airport gets a different percentage of the money depending on what kind of deal they were able to make with Clear. The deals have been very lucrative for Clear. The company is now worth $4 billion and makes $200 million of profit per year. But the article speculates that this might not last much longer. TSA, the government agency, is rolling out technology that's very similar to what Clear offers today. Tech like facial recognition is already available at some airports for people who have TSA PreCheck. TSA PreCheck, of course, is a government program that competes with Clear and is cheaper than Clear. Additionally, the TSA has started to put restrictions on Clear, making it so people have to show their ID fees in addition to getting their fingerprints and eyes scanned. The agency is also limiting the number of Clear customers who can skip the line at once. So all of this is kind of reducing the appeal of Clear at the same time that TSA PreCheck is copying a lot of the features that Clear currently offers. And as a result, a lot of people are asking, what is even the point of subscribing to Clear anymore? Here's a chart of Clear stock. It's essentially been flat over the past few years. Obviously, if people stop using Clear on a wide scale, we're going to see the stock drop. I have no idea if that's going to happen, but this article makes a strong case for why it could. Anyway, that's it for now. Those are the 4 stories that caught my eye over the past week. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.